Here we go. We are ready to learn what powers of 10 really are. And you might already know this, but it is a good review to go over. And for those of you who don't know it, you're going to learn it right now. It's pretty awesome. Powers of 10 are one of Ms. Fisher's favorite things about the base 10 number system in our mathematics. A power of 10 is a type of exponent. And you should have learned a little bit about exponents in 4th grade. But again, if you didn't or you can't remember, that's just fine. What we're going to be talking about is bases and powers. Okay, so you're going to need these two colors out. You're going to need black and pink for this. Our black is going to be our base, and our pink is going to be our power. B for black, base, P for pink, power. Okay, so a power of 10 means that I have a base of 10. So let's go ahead and write a 10, really big like that. And let's go ahead and underneath it really quickly write the word base. 10 is my base. And in this case, we'll put a 1 up here. And it's a little tiny 1. Look, it's not the same size as the base. Powers, or exponents, are small and up to the right. So that little tiny 1 is called the power. Now, even though that number is teeny tiny, it is really powerful. That's how I remember it. Powers of 10 are powerful. So again, I just want to practice. The base is the big number. The power is the tiny number. So will you quickly write 10 with a little 1, and then I want you to write 10 to the second power, 10 to the third power, and 10 to the fourth power. You're going to spread all of those out, so it's going to look like this. 10 to the first power. What would 10 to the second look like? It would mean that the power is a little 2, not a 1. Again, I'm going to write a 10, and this time it's to the third power, so it's a 3 as the power. And then I'm going to write another 10, and this time it's going to be to the fourth power. So you would say that 10 to the first, 10 to the second, 10 to the third, 10 to the fourth. Sometimes these get said as 10 squared or 10 cubed, because a square has 2 dimensions, a length and width, and a cube has 3 dimensions. So 10 squared, 10 cubed. That was just a little bit of challenge for some of your minds. But otherwise, the base is the big number, the power is the tiny number. Okay? So now that we have that all written, let's talk about what that really means. Okay? This little teeny tiny power is the one in charge. Okay? It's the boss. The power is powerful, and it gets to tell the base how many times they want it to multiply itself. I know, sounds a little crazy, right? So how many times do they want you to throw down the number 10? Only one time. Will you please write the number 10 underneath that? And what is just a 10 by itself? What does that amount mean? That amount just means 10. Right? I'm not multiplying it by anything. It just means I threw it down once. My little power says, hey, you, 10. Throw yourself down once. So I did. And it means 10. That's going to be a little confusing maybe, but when we get to here, it's going to make more sense. So this time, the little power 2 tells the 10, hey, you, 10. I want you to throw yourself down 2 times. Okay. So the 10 throws itself down once and then twice. And the 2 says, fabulous. Now multiply yourself. That's what powers mean. That's what exponents mean. They mean to multiply. So it's not just 10 plus 2 or 10 times 2. It's 10 thrown down 2 times and multiplied. And what is 10 times 10, everybody? 100. 10 times 10 is 100. So 10 to the second power means 100. 10 to the first power is just 10. 10 to the second power means 10 times 10. What do you think 10 to the third power means? Oh, it means the little 3 says, hey, you, 10. Throw yourself down 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And multiply yourselves. And multiply yourselves. So, when I multiply 10 times 10 times 10, think about that. If you don't know what that is yet, that's okay. But it would be 10 times 10 is 100, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. Wow, these numbers are getting pretty big, pretty fast. 10 with a little 3, or 10 to the third power, or 10 with the exponent of 3, is 10 times 10 times 10. It's a 10 3 times multiplied together. So this one is 10 to the fourth. So you throw down 4 tens. And what do you do to all of them? You multiply them all together. So you do 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Well, I don't really know what that is until I break it down. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 was what? 1,000. And 1,000 times 10, well, you just add another 0, is 10,000. Pretty crazy. So that is what powers of 10 really mean. It's a base with a power. A base with a power. Powers of 10. Powers of 10. What I'm going to draw next for you is pretty cool. You're gonna be using this a lot. So you should be able to do 10 to the 5th power, 10 to the 6th power, to the 7th. You should be able to do it all the time. Okay? But what I'm going to show you now is called the power pyramid. I like to look at this because I see patterns in the power pyramid. And when I have a powerful pyramid, I can start to use those instead of taking a lot of time. I can just start to use them as mental math. So let's go ahead and show me what 10 to the first power was. So again, 10 to the first power. What was that? It was 10. What was 10 to the second power? It was 100. 10 to the third power, if you look up here, is 1,000. 10 to the fourth power was 10,000. Let's keep going. What would 10 to the fifth power be? Be careful. That might almost look like I was saying 104 on this one. That little exponent needs to be quite a bit smaller. 10 to the fifth power. Well, look at the pattern that's happening here. Do you see this? It's a 1 with 1 0. A 1 with 2 zeros. A 1 with 3 zeros. A 1 with 4 zeros. Look right here. A 1 with 4 zeros. A 1 with 3 zeros. A 1 with 2 zeros. A 1 with 1 0. Aha! There is a little trick. There is a pattern. So this is a 1 with 5 zeros. So there's a 1. And now I got to do 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does the comma go? Remember, you got to work this way after 3. So it became 100,000. And let's do this last one. 10 to the sixth power, which is a 1 with 6 zeros. If you didn't know that by now, it's 1 million. So it's called a pyramid. I don't know why I need to call it a pyramid, because really it's just like a triangle. But really what it's doing is it's getting further and further out the longer you go. So really, it's kind of like, yeah, I didn't really draw that very well, and that's okay. But I really just wanted you to catch on. I'm going to color this cloud in lightly pink. I wanted you to catch on to that little bit of a pattern so that you don't have to sit and really multiply it all the time. You can just look at it and go, oh, 10 to the third, well, that's a 1 with 3 zeros, which is 1,000. These ones I think you should just kind of memorize and know. But as they get further, like if I were to tell you, what's 10 to the 11th? You would know 10 to the 11th. If Miss Fisher randomly asked you, what is 10 to the 11th? Can you believe I would ask that? Sounds crazy. You could do it. You don't have to sit and multiply and take forever. You would just know it's a 1 with 11 zeros. Should we do that? Should we find out what that really is? It's a 1 with 11 zeros. Oh, goodness. Here we go. It's a 1 with 11 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You start at the end and put a comma after every 3. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 2, 3, comma. This is hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. 10 to the 11th power is 100 billion. That means 10 to the 12th power would be 1 trillion. Pretty crazy, right? I think that's so awesome. All right, so the power pyramid. So now that you know bases and powers, you should be able to better understand the previous page. So please go ahead and flip backwards to where we did expanded form using powers of 10. And because I used my pink on that other page, what I want you to do is to draw a pink cloud and color it in. And really quickly up here, you'll write C next page. That'll help you or your parents or anyone who's trying to help you be able to look at the notes on the next page for help. So if you need help with powers of 10, you can see the next page, okay? But what this is doing, let's go back to our different forms of numbers. Remember, we're going to use that same number. So let's write it off here to the side, 35,026. What this is doing is it's going to be very similar to expanded form where you're going to break the number apart and you're going to pull each digit. But this time you have to multiply it. Instead of just telling me what it stands for, you have to multiply it by the power that it's in. Okay, so let's really quickly describe that. So you're going to break the number into each place value, just like we did before. Break the number into each place value one at a time. And in this situation, we're going to multiply it by the correct place value. And multiply it by the correct place value. So we're going to also say this. Don't forget, how are we going to remember that, with a star or something? We'll just do a bullet point. Don't forget to use, these are called parentheses. Don't forget to use parentheses and add each piece. Okay. So I'm going to use purple for the parentheses to show that. And I'm going to use purple here for the plus sign. But I also want to use purple for the multiplication symbol. Oh, that made that one a little messy. Yikes, that's a multiplication symbol. So let's just go one at a time. Let's use the same numbers that we were doing before, okay? So up here we used blue for the 3. So what does the 3 mean? We know it means 30,000, but that's not what this rule is saying. This is telling me you have to use the powers of 10 to show what it stands for, okay? So let's pull the 3 out. We're going to begin with parentheses. That's the first step. I put a 3 there because that's what it is. I times it by the place value it's in. What place value is that in? The 10,000s. So I times it by 10,000. I then close the parentheses. And now I have done the blue part. Will you go ahead and underline that in blue? That is how you do the 3. 3 times 10,000. Now I'm going to use green because that's what we used up here. The next digit, 5, is going to be green. So I'm going to have a green section right here. Remember, I start with parentheses. And I pull the digit, which is 5. And I multiply it by the correct place value. What place value is the 5 in? There's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. It's in the thousands. Close the place value. The next color is orange. Do I have to do anything with the 0? Nope. The next color is purple. Do I have to do anything with the 2? Yes. So I put parentheses. I use the number 2 since it's there, and I multiply it by the correct place value. What place value was the 2 and the tens? See, it's really not that hard. It just takes time. And the last one is yellow, and I have to do something with that because it's not a 0. I begin with parentheses. I use the digit 6. I times it by the place value it's in. The 6 is in the ones place value. So I just times it by 1 and close the parentheses. So I've used the parentheses for all the colors. I have 3 times 10,000, 5 times 1,000, 2 times 10, because I don't have to do anything with a 0, and 6 times 1. But what am I supposed to also do to each of those pieces? I'm supposed to add them together. So all I do is just put the plus sign in between each one. And that is your answer. As crazy as that sounds, that is the answer for this one. If they ask for it expanded into place values or using powers of 10, they're asking you to take each piece and multiply by its place value. But really, remember that this is also 3 times what was 10,000? 10 to the what power? Well, it's a 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 zeros. So it was 3 times 10 to the 4th. You put that in parentheses. Plus, put the next one in parentheses, 5 times, this is 10 to the what power? It's a 1 with how many zeros? 3. So 5 times 10 to the 3rd, plus, look, I'm still using parentheses, 2 times 10 with no more zeros, so it's just 10 to the 1st power, right? It's a 1 with 1 0. And then it's just plus 6 times 1. Now, technically, this would be 10 to the 0th power, but you don't need to know that yet. And I'm just going to let you hang that out in your brain for a little while. But anytime a number is 1, it's 10 to the 0 power. Because it is a 10 or a 1 with 0 zeros. Right? This was a 1 with 1 0. So 10 to the 0th power. I guess we will write it because that's pretty cool to know. 10 to the 0th power means it's a 1 with 0 zeros. So it's just a 1. Pretty cool. So you can represent that either way. I think you're going to see this way more often. But just know that that's why you needed to know powers of 10, because it just counts down. This was 10 to the 4th, 10 to the 3rd. Why don't we have 10 to the 2nd? Oh, because 10 to the 2nd was hundreds, and there's a 0 in the 100, so I don't have to do that one. That's why it's missing from down here. 10 to the 4th, to the 3rd, missing the 2nd on purpose, to the 1st, and to the 0th. Pretty great. Well, that was not it for the journal. So as much as you've loved doing this, you'll have to catch me in the next video.